Okay, y'all, I'm gonna show you how to start a rope. So you're gonna get your parachute cord or whatever kind of nylon cording you've got at Walmart or Joann's, wherever you can find it. And you are going to make sure to measure it however long you want it. You can do whatever your preference is. I normally do about 12 inches, which looks like this. Actually, let's do 14. That looks a little small. I think I changed it to 14. I normally do 14. Okay, 14. Now, this is pretty standard, 14. I would go about 14 and a half because you're gonna need to leave a little extra at the end and put the buckskin there, okay? Okay, so once you get it measured at 14 and a half, you're just gonna cut that bad boy. And you're gonna need a lighter because some of the nylon ends will fray and you don't want that to do that. So just do it enough to melt that nylon together and it holds in place. Okay. Perfect. Okay. You'll want to fold it in half, find the center like so, and then you'll mark it right here at the center so you'll know. Because I normally start beading right here at the center. That way, if you want to do both sides identical, your designs will come out symmetrical. Okay, so once you get it marked off in the middle here, we'll just go ahead and get your needle and thread ready. Get your thread. I do 2 pulls. It's up to you. There are pros and cons for having long thread, and then there are pros and cons for having short thread. The shorter your thread, the more often you're going to have to thread it because you'll be using your thread faster. The longer your thread tail, the more likely your thread's going to get tangled. So it's really up to you. You be the good judge. So then once you get your thread on there, you're going to find the center of the thread and you're going to put your needle right in the center of the thread. Take your wax up your thread so your 2 tails become 1 tail. Otherwise, if you don't wax it good enough, your threads will separate while you're trying to bead, and those will also get your thread tangled. So make sure it looks like this. Your needle is in the center and it's waxed. At the end of your thread, tie it off in a knot. I would say do 2 knots to be safe, 3 knots to be extra safe, and cut it off. Then, whichever bead you've chosen for your color to start with, go ahead and get that situated. Okay, so I've gotten my thread and my beads started. Since I have it marked, where am I at? Okay, so I have it marked right here in the center. I'm just going to take my needle and thread right here. You're going to come up right underneath your rope, right where you marked off, like that. Okay, pull your thread all the way through, and then your thread should be sitting right in the center, just like that. You're going to get, depending on which size bead you're using, you're going to get at least, let's start with 9 beads. I'm using a little bit bigger size beads here. They are not size 11s, they are size 9s. You guys will be working most likely with size 11s. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I will start with 8 beads. Push them all the way down. And you're going to just hold these beads in place and wrap it around the center. Okay, so once you get it all the way wrapped around, you'll be able to judge to see how many more beads you'll need to fill this gap right here. You'll see a little gap there. And it looks like I could probably fit 2 more beads. So I'm going to string 2 beads here. And I'm so sorry if my camera quality is terrible because it is my cell phone. But you can still ask me any questions if you have a problem. So now my beads are matching, or my beads are touching, so that means they wrap all the way around, and that's what you want. You don't want any gaps. You want them to be as close as possible. So then you'll put your needle through the very first 2 beads and you'll pull your thread tight. Not too tight because you might break your thread, but tight enough where it feels firm. And you'll hold it in place. And then you'll take your needle and you'll go back down through the nylon cord right to the left of your beads. Okay, and then you'll push it through, pull your thread through, and then you will tighten as much as you can where it feels firm. And now your thread is sticking out in the center again, and then you just will repeat that process. So I strung about 10 beads with these, so I'll string 10 beads this time again. And if that's too much, take 1 bead off. If that's too little, add a bead, but typically your baseline will be 10 beads if you're working with the same size I am. These beads are all different shapes and sizes, so it may not be the same amount of beads every time you thread your needle. So then you'll just wrap it again. Okay, so now this one looks like I have too many beads, even though I had the same amount strung from the first time. So I'm gonna take a bead off, and then you're gonna do the same thing. You take your needle and push it through the first 2 beads to complete that circle here, and then you'll pull it tight. And it takes practice with your fingers to get the hang of it. And if this is new to you, then have some patience because it won't be perfect the first few times. But once you pull it tight, you push your needle straight back through the rope again, right in the center, and you'll pull it through. So you'll do this as many times as you want. Normally I'll have a measure tape and I'll measure out maybe 2 inches. Because ultimately, if you want to repeat the design going this way and this way, this will be 4 inches, and this would be the center of your keychain. So if you want to measure how much, or if you just want to kind of count the rows that you're doing, you can do that as well. So okay, so let's say that your thread just broke, and you're like, oh crap, maybe because you pulled too tight and it just snapped. And so your needle's not on there anymore, right? Pull your 2 threads apart and just tie it off. So let me just do this here. Tie it off. Double knot to be safe. 3 knots to be extra safe. Okay. And then you're just going to clip right down where you knotted. Okay. As close as you can, because you don't want your threads to be showing in your work. Let me see how I could cut this. Okay. Then you'll take your needle and thread again, right? And then you'll just knot this end here. Make sure it's waxed to where you like it, or however, if your threads are coming apart, you don't want your threads to start tangling up on you. Okay. Cut the little tail off by the knot. Take this and you're just going to string this right back where you left off. So you'll push your thread or needle underneath your rope again and come out to the left of your beads, just like that. Okay, and you're just going to repeat that process all over. So once you get your needle strung right next to the left of your beads, you'll just start your next row. So say so then I'll just start doing orange, or say if you wanted to change your color, you can start a different color. So your thread tends to break a little bit easier on these ones because if you pull too tight, they do just snap. And then I will show you how to tie it off in the end, but I would say bead till about maybe a 1/2 inch, because this is where buckskin will go. And then I'll show you how to tie it off once you reach this point. Okay.